Really had read every book in the Omaha Public Library that was on the stock market.
By 11?
By 11, I'll guarantee you. And some of them twice. I started out reading the ones in my dad's office. I just loved to read. I mean, I read other things too, but I knew more when I was 11 than I know now. I mean, in terms of actual mechanics of the stock, I don't know what happens when I put an order in. I mean, it gets in the machinery of the way orders are executed now. I would know if I sat and worked in a trading room for a day or two, but I don't really know the mechanics as well of what happens when an order is processed today as I did when I was 11.
What is it you enjoyed the most about it? Because you don't pick stocks, you pick companies.
Yeah, but when I was 11, I picked stocks. I had the whole wrong idea. I was interested in watching stocks, and I thought stocks were things that went up and down, and I charted them. I read books on technical analysis. I read Edwards and McGee. I think that was the classic then. Hundreds and hundreds of pages. And I read that whole thing over and over again. I read Garfield, Drew, and all that. I read everything. And I thought the first 8 years, I thought the important thing was to predict what a stock would do and predict the stock market. And then I read Ben Graham, when I was 19 or 20. And I realized that I was doing it exactly the wrong way, but it didn't hurt that I had that background and everything. It rejiggered my mind, and when I read the book, The Intelligent Investor, and from that point, I never bought another stock. I bought businesses that happened to be publicly traded, but I became an owner of a business, and I did not care whether a stock went up or down the next day or the next week or the next month or the next year, and I didn't have any idea what it would do. I didn't know what the stock market would do, but I knew businesses.
I've asked people about your genius, whatever we describe it.
No, I'm a bright guy who's terribly interested in what he does. So I've spent a lifetime doing it. I've surrounded myself with people that bring out the best in me. And you don't need to be a genius in what I do. That's the good thing about it. If I went into physics and a whole lot of other subjects, I'd be an also-ran. But I am in a game that you don't need. You probably need 120 points of IQ, But 170 doesn't do any better than 120. It may do worse, probably do worse, but you don't really need brains.
What do you need?
You need the right orientation. 90% of the people, pulling the figure out of the air, but 90% of the people that buy stocks don't think of them the right way. They think about something that they hope goes up next week. And they think about the market as something they hope goes up. And if it's down, they feel worse. I feel better.
And you think about?
Pardon?
And what do you think about?
I think about what the company's going to be worth 10 or 20 years from now. And I hope it goes down when I buy it, because I'll buy more.
Do you have a competitive spirit, clearly?
Yeah, well, but you got to be careful about what you compete in. It's a good thing I don't have a competitive spirit in chess or or football or anything like that. No, I'm an observer there. I enjoy watching things like that, but I try to keep my competitive spirit in a game where I can win.
Berkshire and Warren Buffett emerged to a point where your reputation and your credibility
and our money
and your money.
The money was important, but it was a determining factor.
They wanted the money.
Yeah.
But they also wanted credibility.
They had to have instant credibility. They had to have somebody who counted besides people whose position it was to lie.
And how did you build that, which is an essential part of who you are and Berkshire Hathaway?
Well, I started on March 11, 1942, and I had a father that was the right father. Yeah, and I was lucky.
I think you may have heard this. Lennon once said, there are decades when nothing happens, and then there are weeks when decades happen.
That's very well put. And when you're buying businesses, don't call them stocks. When you're buying businesses, when you're buying apartment houses sometimes, when you're buying raw land, all kinds of things. There's times when you get a chance to act and do something really intelligent. It may happen once every 10 years, once every 20 years. Depends on what field you're in, where you live, what you know, all of that. But most of the important things, there's a lot of foundational work But the actual big acts in life are when you propose to your spouse. Forget all the other stuff. If you made the right decision and you get the right answer from he or she, you're 90% of the way home in life.
But also things happen in the world like the pandemic.
That's true too.
And it can change everything, as it did.
It happened in 1929.
It happened in 1918, 19.
I forget when the things were, 1907. When they closed the stock exchange back in 1914 for a long period of time. People don't ever think about that. 9/11, they closed the stock exchange for a few days. And, there are big events in this world.
We're going through one of them right now.
Yeah, but I'm going to get into discussing that particularly.
Allow me this. This is having a huge effect.
It's true. But
World order.
Yeah, but it doesn't do me any good, and it doesn't do the world any good for me to talk about it. So,
Can we talk about the global economy then, in terms of where we are?
I can tell you where we are. But,
Yeah.
But
Let me phrase it this way: in terms of the global economy, you look at the United States.
United States economy, and very easy to look at the statistics on it. More people, a greater percentage of the American population is wealthy now, or having more income now than they've ever had. And if you look at whether Bank of America will give you their average deposit, you just look at the wealth that's out there, and that doesn't mean everybody's wealthy, but it does mean relative to any other period of time, people have more money now. They get mortgages at lower rates than they've ever gotten, so if they want to buy a house or something.
Yeah, but is that going to continue? Mortgage rates are raising, as you know.
Yeah.
We're in an inflation period.
How am I going to predict interest rates for you? But
I'm not asking you to predict anything about stock.
Right today, Charlie.
You live in an environment.
Yeah, you live in an environment where bottom 2% in terms of income in the United States, the bottom 5%, and for sure the top 1%, all live better than John D. Rockefeller was living when I was 6 years old. John D. Rockefeller was the richest man in the world. And today, you can get better medicine, better education, better entertainment, better transportation. You can do everything better than he could.